Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. For today's audio-visual entertainment extravaganza, I am very happy to present It'll Be Fine here in the latest Flavour of the Month ship. This is the Argentine Tier 10 destroyer, La Pampa. It's actually a British battle-class destroyer, but a sort of what-if it was built to Argentine specifications. As such, its guns are kind of It only has 4 113 or 4.5 inch guns, but it does have 3 torpedo launchers, each with 5 torpedoes, and of course, it has a funny button. This is the Covert consumable readiness funny button. What it does when you activate it is it reduces the cooldown and preparation time of your consumables by 85%. And you don't even have to do anything to charge it up. Just remain undetected. For every 10 seconds that you remain unspotted, it charges this thing up by 5%. Of course, you can charge it up faster than that by scoring torpedo hits. Each torpedo hit charges it by 25%. So realistically, by the time you get a torpedo away and hit the target, you probably only need 2 or 3 torpedo hits to activate the funny button. And what sort of consumables does this destroyer have, I hear you ask? Well, it's got a heel, which is nice. It also has a torpedo reload booster, and of course, a smoke screen. So let's just think about this for a minute. The La Pampa has 3 torpedo launchers. It can put 15 torpedoes in the water at once. And then it can use the torpedo reload booster and put another 15 torpedoes in the water. You can see where this is going, can't you? And then it can activate the funny button, trigger the torpedo reload booster again, and put another 15 torpedoes in the water. Do you remember the days when the Shimakaze used to be the undisputed king of torpedo boats? Because it could put 15 torpedoes in the water at once? And then the Benham came along and said, oh, that's cute, I can have 36 torpedoes in the water at once. And then La Pampa arrived and said, 36, that's cute, try 45, sunshine. The thing is, La Pampa, even without doing anything funny, can put the same number of torpedoes in the water as the Shimakaze, faster than the Shimakaze. It has a torpedo reload that's 20 seconds quicker. Admittedly, the torpedoes don't hit as hard. Typical torpedo load in a Shimakaze is going to hit for around 20,000 damage per torpedo, but they don't hit for that much less, slightly more than 17,000. They're also not slow with a speed of 66 knots. Admittedly, the ship itself is kind of slow, unlike the Shimakaze, which remains a very fast destroyer, although not the fastest anymore. But La Pampa is kind of slow, with a top speed of 34 knots, although with the brisk skill and a speed flag you can get it faster than that. But the second you get spotted, well, you're slow again. And almost as if to deliberately drive the point home, the enemy La Pampa has just sunk the friendly Shimakaze with its torpedoes. Meanwhile, while it does appear at first glance that It'll Be Fine is trying to commit suicide by Khabarovsk by deliberately engaging that thing with his pretty pathetic guns, there was a method to his madness. He was attempting, and succeeding, in baiting the Khabarovsk to swing his ass out to get all of his guns firing back, and successfully forced him to eat a torpedo. However, while he does very, very nearly kill the Khabarovsk, it nearly isn't good enough. The damage output of his weedy little 4.5 inch guns just isn't enough to out-damage the Khabarovsk's heel. And the Khabarovsk is nothing if not a potent gunship, so It'll Be Fine is forced to use his own smokescreen in order to go undetected. He's not going to stay in the smokescreen though, because the Khaba could have launched torpedoes, and, well, La Pampa doesn't have hydro. Also, he'd really like to kill this guy. He's managed to set another fire, but you can tell that the Khabarovsk instantly used his damage control there because, well, first and probably most obviously, he's not dead. And also, at the point where the fire was set, his engines had been knocked out. You could see flames coming from his smokestacks, and that instantly disappeared. So he used the damage control, which was wise, to hold it for exactly that eventuality, and he's in cover behind the island. Now, La Pampa has pretty good stealth, 5.8 kilometers. It's not best in class, but it's pretty good. Khabarovsk does not. However, it is very, very quick, and is almost certainly going to be trying to use that island to put some distance between himself and It'll Be Fine. So he's in hot pursuit of the Khabar, and he's going to have to shoot at him, which means he's going to get spotted again, so he's triggered the funny button. Look at the cooldown on his smoke screen. Yep, 5 seconds. Unfortunately, it kind of worked and it kind of didn't. Like I said, the Khabarovsk is extremely fast, and he only just caught him at the maximum limit of spotting. He's hoping here that the Khabar is going to be dumb enough to return fire, so he can spot him again and hopefully finish him off, but the Khabar isn't falling for that old gag. So as it turned out, he didn't actually need the smoke screen on cool. Oh wait, he is shooting back. Well then again, actually, he's managed to recover a fair amount of health. He might get lucky and hit him with one of those torpedoes. Fortunately, because he used the funny button, the smoke screen is once again available, but it'll be fine as recognised that he's not winning that gunfight. He's going to leave it to his teammates to take the Khabarovsk out. Some of them are at least trying, although they're not having an awful lot of luck. Meanwhile, It'll Be Fine himself is holding his fire. Again, didn't need to use the smoke screen. He's gone undetected anyway. It'll Be Fine's torpedoes are almost ready to go. I mean, he hasn't had to use the torpedo reload booster yet, and that's a big old cluster of big old targets just begging to be torpedoed. And there's the enemy Pampa, which is likely to be extremely bad news. Yeah, there are the torpedoes for the friendly Marseille, who has been ignoring everybody's warnings to get the hell back. Sure enough, Pampa takes him out, but not before he gets some shots out and actually manages to nail the enemy Khabarovsk. It'll Be Fine getting his torpedoes away. I mean, why wouldn't you torpedo a cluster of targets like that? And then uses his torpedo reload booster because, well, there's another cluster of targets on the other side of the island. The cooldown on the torpedo reload booster is brutal though. I mean, it's like 5.5 minutes and you get 3 uses of it. With a cooldown like that, under normal circumstances on any other ship, you'd probably struggle to get all 3 uses out of it during the course of a battle. With that funny button, however, he probably only needs to score 2 torpedo hits to be able to... There we go. Yeah, funny button's ready to go. He can more or less now instantly get that torpedo reload booster up again, instantly, if he needs it. Torpedoes are looking good on... Well, actually, no, wait a minute. Whoa, you got to be kidding. That was an awesome dodge by the enemy Patry. Not good news for It'll Be Fine, of course. Funny button's up, though. He could use it, trigger the torpedo booster, get the torpedoes up again, but he's got less than a minute left on the natural reload of the torpedoes, so he's probably not going to use it. Oh, he's been radared. That will be the Stalingrad. That's not good. That is not good at all. Remember, with the rather pedestrian top speed of this thing of 34 knots, and of course the fact that he is now spotted so the brisk skill is no longer active, this is not a fast destroyer. Oh, and there's the enemy Pampa. Alright, he hasn't outranged the Stalingrad's radar, but it looks like it's now on cooldown. He was, however, still being spotted by the enemy Pampa, but since he's no longer radared, it's now safe to use his smoke. He's looking at the funny button now and thinking, do I need to use this? Actually, no, he doesn't. His own torpedoes are going to be back up in less than 20 seconds. Notice that the radio location skill is pointing straight towards the enemy Pampa, who still appears to be heading straight towards this very, very suspicious looking smokescreen. And it's entirely possible, perhaps even likely, that there are enemy Pampa torpedoes coming towards this very suspicious smokescreen. And since Pampa doesn't have hydro, he's going to need to haul arse and get out there. So that doesn't happen to him. Well, based on the fact that the enemy Pampa was coming in, nose in, It'll Be Fine knows that he doesn't have to worry about any torpedoes. Enemy Pampa there, being reminded the hard way that Pampa doesn't have hydro. And there's multiple torpedo hits on the targets that the torpedoes were actually launched at. He has now triggered the funny button, and of course with all of those torpedo hits, it's instantly back up. He used it to get the torpedo reload booster off. There go another 15 torpedoes. He had actually lost sight of the targets at the point where he launched them, so he just took his best guess. It'll Be Fine, meanwhile, vacating his own smokescreen. Not because there's any kind of torpedo threat, he's just torpedoed the torpedo threat, but look at where his radio location skill is pointing. Straight to the other side of his own smoke. Something's sneaking up on him. And it's the enemy Stalingrad. And he's not taking that thing down in a gunfight. Stalingrad gets some shots off, causes a lot of damage, wrecks his engine, instant damage control, He probably can't even outrun the Stalingrad, but his smoke is at least available. And for the moment, it appears that the Stalingrad's radar either has no charges left or it's still on cooldown. He scored more torpedo hits, and there's the high caliber award, but well, that's somebody else's problem at the moment. He needs to deal with this Stalingrad. Oh, the flood caused by his torpedoes did actually sink the USS Maine, which is great, but it's not helping him with the Stalingrad. See, the issue here is even with the brisk skill running, he's almost certainly not going to be able to get 5.8 kilometers away from that smoke screen before the Stalingrad emerges from it, sees him and blows him out of the water. And even if he is, which is unlikely, if that Stalingrad has radar ready to go, there is no way he's getting out of radar range. However, it's starting to look like the Stalingrad doesn't have any charges of its radar left, because if it had, it would have used it by now. Which means it'll be fine, just needs to get out of visual range. But he's just not fast enough. Anticipating this, he has triggered the funny button, which means he can instantly redeploy the smoke screen, and of course use the damage control, because that salvo from the Stalingrad did knock out a torpedo launcher, and he's going to be needing his torpedo launchers, because you ain't taking down the Stalingrad in a gunfight. Triggering the funny button not only allowed him to get the smoke screen up again, but it also reduced the 4.5 minute cooldown remaining on the reload booster to 37 seconds, at a point when he only had 34 seconds to go before his torpedoes reloaded normally. Now of course smoke screens do work both ways. Stalingrad can't see him, but he can't see the Stalingrad either, and he needs to see the Stalingrad because those torpedoes missed. Except he doesn't actually need to see the Stalingrad because he's got the radio location skill, which is pointing once again to the other side of his smoke screen. The Stalingrad is again using his own smoke screen against him, but he knows where the Stalingrad is. He's over there. Of course, the Stalingrad also knows where he is because he is located, which means that the Stalingrad also has the radio location skill. But given the state of the Stalingrad's health and the sheer number of torpedoes this thing can put into the water... Oh, he didn't kill him! Wait, no he did! And yep, he's no longer located. It was the Stalingrad who had the radio location skill. That was extremely well played by the Stalingrad. Excellent use of It'll Be Fine's own first smoke screen to not just sneak up on him, but to get close enough to him to ensure that he couldn't possibly get far enough away fast enough to be able to break contact. Right after that, another excellent move from the Stalingrad. Let's rewind and watch. Here, Stalingrad's just emerged from It'll Be Fine's first smoke screen, forcing him to take advantage of the funny button to get the second smoke screen up almost instantly. So It'll Be Fine's gone undetected, but the Stalingrad just fired, so It'll Be Fine can still see him. And the Stalingrad knows that It'll Be Fine can still see him. Watch what happens. Torpedoes are up. It'll Be Fine has to maneuver to get the firing angle. Stalingrad's gone undetected. He launches the torpedoes down the approximate track that the Stalingrad was heading on, but the Stalingrad knows he's got undetected, and he's immediately pulled a hard turn the other way, which is why every single one of those torpedoes missed. Stalingrad, again, using It'll Be Fine's own smoke screen against him. Really do have to give props to that enemy Stalingrad, because the only thing he did wrong was go after a Pampa. If it had been any other destroyer, It'll Be Fine would be dead. If he'd had even a single charge of his radar consumable left, It'll Be Fine would have been dead. As it was, It'll Be Fine is almost dead. He's got less than 2,000 hit points left, and that was almost entirely due to that Stalingrad. So well done to him, but also well done to It'll Be Fine for making expert use of that consumable, or rather the funny button that allowed him to make expert uses of the consumable. Because without that, and the instant second smoke screen, the Stalingrad would have killed him. And without that, and the instant second use of the torpedoes, the Stalingrad would have killed him. Speaking of those torpedoes, I'm going to show you something now, okay? And it's either going to make you laugh or it's going to make you cry. Maybe even both. It'll Be Fine did 310,000 damage in that battle. Almost all of it from the 22 torpedo hits that he scored. Do you know how many torpedoes he launched to get those 22 torpedo hits? You ready for this? 110. Yep, I know. 248,000 damage from the 22 torpedoes that hit out of the 110 they launched, 40,000 damage from the floods caused by those torpedoes, and only 22, nearly 23,000 damage from La Pampa's guns. I think it's safe to conclude that this ship is pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good ship, just based on its own merits, but careful use of that consumable makes this thing borderline overpowered. Certainly, I'm pretty sure the enemy Stalingrad thinks so. Anyway, congratulations to It'll Be Fine for what was an extremely well-played game and extremely good use of this ship's unique combat instruction. And I hope you all enjoyed watching it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.